Welcome, everyone. I'm Fox. This is my dad, Lane. And welcome to the Bandit Suloon, where we drink.
Cheers.
Woo! We discuss. Now, we're not that dumb. We know how to spell. But you want to tell them why we spelled it the way we did?
We added the U to saloon, so we pronounce it Suloon. We did the U because we want you involved in this adventure with us in many different ways. When we say we drink, that's a salute to all of you to drink with us. So get a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy the fun. Well, as Fox said, I'm his dad.
Can't tell.
Yeah. It's amazing that I have an adult son that still talks to me, so whatever. I've lived a fun life, many different things. And one of the things that's happened over the last couple of years in my life is I've been sucked into Reddit. I don't know what to tell you.
Can't escape it.
Yeah,
at least now.
I've spent time working from home, and during that, when I was working on my spreadsheets and working on creating processes and things like that, I would have it running in the background on either the TV in the bedroom or in my headphones, listening to these stories and just thinking, this is some crazy shit. It's crazy. And even more so recently, I've gotten into actually reading them. I've gotten back to reading them. And Fox
He can read.
Yeah. And Fox here is a big reader. So he actually was doing it on his own. We started talking about things here and there and just decided it'd be fun to sit down and create a show because honestly, we both kind of like to talk.
Yeah.
So you're going to find we talk over each other a lot. That's okay. That's part of the fun of the show. It's part of the experience. But we're going to go through every week and do each of us is going to bring different stories to the show, and one will read and discuss, and the other one reads the next story, and we move on, and we kind of go that way. Whatever we think will be interesting to talk about. So to start off tonight, first, I'm starting with our first story.
Oh boy.
Yep. So it's going to be a fun one. So it is, am I the asshole? Would I be the asshole? If I tell my best friend why my friends and partner don't want to be around her. It's always interesting, the story, the taglines of the stories. Sometimes they're good enough that they'll suck you in. Sometimes they don't. It kind of is what it is, but these are pretty good.
Can I make it a prediction of which one I think that we're going to agree on?
Yes.
Read that title one more time.
If I were to tell my best friend why my friends and partner don't want to be around her.
I feel like we're going to get somewhere where the person isn't the asshole. I feel like we're going to understand why they need to tell them that.
Well, the reason I'm bringing this story is, again, obviously because I'm dad, there's a large age difference between us. So there's going to be a lot of times where we may disagree on things. We may agree on things, and stuff that both of us may have experienced in our life pertaining to this. I've experienced a situation very similar to this. So it's one of those things of I'm curious how you look at it. How does a younger person look at it? Also, how does my son look at it? Is the aspect. I'm hoping
That's the real interesting.
I'm hoping I didn't raise an asshole. So, so anyway, all right, you ready?
I've sat back.
All right. For context, I, 24 female, have been best friends with my friend Jackie, 24 female, since we were in 3rd grade. She's an only child and tends to be a bit on the selfish side. Not surprising, being only child. I'm not going to go through all of her history because that's her private business, but throughout the years, I've noticed that she likes to insert herself into plans I make with people, and she complains if something gets changed. The last few times I've had her hang out with my friends or my partner and I get told by people afterward that they don't like Jackie. She gets flirtatious with their partners, or in my partner's case, that she gets flirtatious with him. When that happens, he'll hold me and get very lovey with me in what I'm assuming is a way to get the point across he's not into her. I've also been told by friends and my partner that it annoys them when Jackie makes comments acting like she's the only one that has gone through a rough time. A recent example of this was when my partner and I were talking of plans of going to Disney in a couple of years because he had never been before and I really want to take him. Jackie had to say to my partner, well, I've been wanting to go to Disney my whole life. He just kind of looked at me before he responded in a way to call her out on her behavior, saying, wow, You act like you're the only one allowed to miss out on things. She got quiet after that. So that's the boyfriend calling her out. Jackie also tends to make things about herself and gets extremely defensive if you ask her anything about what's going on. She has also gotten extremely jealous when I make plans with other people. So for the past few weeks, I've been contemplating telling her why my friends and partner don't want to be around her and why it can only be her and I if she wants to hang out with me, because I don't want to make my friends or my partner uncomfortable when her behavior gets bad. I could list a ton more examples of some of the things she has done, but then the post would get unbearably long. Anyways, to conclude, I want to tell her all about this because she's trying to insert herself into plans I'm making with my partner this Halloween season. It's our first Halloween season as a couple, and I want to make it special just for us. And I don't want to ruin the mood or make the things about her. So, would I be the asshole if I told her that her behavior is why my friends and partner don't want to be around her? Now, there's a couple edits and adds to this, but let's stop there to ask the question. So that is the question, AITA.
If they're the
If,
asshole for telling this person, hey, back off, basically.
basically being honest with her is what the question is. I mean, she's talking about being honest with her friends. So she's going to go to her friend, sit down, and tell her honestly what's going on, what's happening.
No,
She's
you
gonna
wouldn't
be
be.
straight
You
up.
wouldn't be the asshole for doing that because it sounds like this is kind of like a repetitive thing, and there's receipts. Like multiple people are being like, "Hey, she is she is annoying the hell out of me. She's trying to grab up on my partner. She's trying to seduce him, maybe." And it boils down to if she trusts her partner enough to believe that, like, trusts enough in him to know that he's not lying,
Mhm.
and to care enough about that to not put someone that makes him uncomfortable around you too.
Agreed. There's no possible way that you can be the a-hole in this situation. Now,
Unless you're the friend.
well, unless you're the friend, but it's the person writing that she's going to talk. Now, this is where difficult conversations come in. If you're a friend that you can sit down with her, if she can sit down with her friend and say, here are the reasons why people don't want to be around you. You make them uncomfortable with this and this and this. Now, can she take it? Can the friend take it?
No,
No
no,
way.
no, no, no.
There's no way.
She's gonna sit her down and be like, "Hey, so you're making all the significant others really uncomfortable because you're being real flirty, and then we also just can't not have a plan with you, even when we're taking like a date to Disneyland or Disney World." It's just kind of like mature people would understand that kind of conversation, but a mature person would not be in this situation. So you said there's a couple updates, like plural.
I don't know that they're updates or edits type things. So I just wanted to stop that because that's the
Ooh.
first time it was posted. That's what she put in as that was the sentence to end the question. So I was curious about the question. I also look at it as if she's being flirtatious with your partner like that in front of you, not to say that your partner ever would, but what is she doing what would she be doing if you weren't around? And is that type of friend you want?
Yeah.
So I give this person that's writing this, I give OP complete kudos for the fact that she doesn't seem to be afraid to sit down and talk to her friend.
Yeah.
And to me, you sit down and she sits down and talks to her friend. It could go a couple ways. It could go great that she says, "Okay, help me understand this better," or it could go, "F you, get out of my life." And I think either way is a win. Personally.
Yeah, I was about to say you kind of don't lose,
I don't think so
which
either.
is the fun part of confrontation. Is the only bad part of confrontation most of the time is leading up to said confrontation.
Yeah. All right. First edit. I spoke with my therapist about the situation a few hours after I posted this, and after discussing with her and seeing everyone's comments, I have decided to speak with Jackie in person about this later this week. Depending on how the conversation goes, is going to determine whether or not I drop her, because I also started to have a realization as I read the comments that she has always been very selfish in one form or another, and it gets exhausting to deal with her at times, even with me doing mostly one-on-one interactions.
Oh boy.
So
Yeah, well,
sounds to me like she's gotten worse as she's gotten older.
yeah, which is crazy. Which also good on OP therapy. A lot of
Mhm.
people need it. A lot
Yeah.
of people need it. But the fact that it's like she's talking about her friend like it's been a chore to be her friend. That's not your friend. You're just babysitting them.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
And we don't babysit adults.
No, we do not.
At least I don't.
No, and that's so there. And there's a couple more. So the next edit two. I ended
Uh-huh.
up messaging Jackie because she kept saying that she didn't want to leave her house at the moment. I had mentioned in my message to her about her behavior, and I told her how she was making me feel uncomfortable and how she was being insensitive with some of the things that she's doing. I'm just waiting on a response now. So I will post the official update once I have finished the conversation with her. Now, the one thing I would say with this isn't a conversation. I know you young people love your text messages. This isn't a conversation
You
that should have
sound
been had
so
over
old
text.
saying that.
I am old. What do you want me to tell you? But this is a conversation that should not have been approached over text.
Well, how many did she say she tried multiple times to get her out of the house, or was it just that one time?
I ended up messaging Jackie because she kept saying that she didn't want to leave her house. I had mentioned in my messages, so she doesn't say how many times she tried. She just says
It
in her
sounds
messages.
plural,
Yeah,
so that means that this is a multiple time thing where it's like, "Hey, Jackie, I need to have a conversation with you. Would you like to go out for lunch?" or something like that.
yeah.
And Jackie, like knowing probably that this is a serious conversation, and the fact that she probably does not want to talk about anything serious that would be blaming her for anything. She's probably called like flaked on it a couple times. Which, if that's the case, then the message, that's all she's got. But if it's only like one time, like, hey, I can't make it out tonight, and then just drop the bombshell on her, like, that's the text that's like, okay, OP, you were doing so good. You were so close.
Yeah, I I would be. It doesn't get details on what the messages were, but I would say that's a bit of an a-hole move to send it text it over messages. This is a sensitive subject that you're going to be talking with your friend because the conversation there is the possibility in the conversation you could lose your friend. That needs to be a face to face so that you can kind of discuss emotions. She can see emotions. There's so much crap that can be misunderstood through text messages that I just don't think. But we don't
I
know for
get you.
sure. But all right, so the, it only has one update, and that was after the last edit. So Jackie at first did not take my message well, and she had me call her while she yelled and kept saying how she didn't understand why I was saying what I was saying. After repeating myself like a broken record, she eventually said she needed to go, and then about 10 to 15 minutes later, she proceeded to message me, continuing to not understand what I was telling her. She is finally understanding that I was not trying to be malicious by telling her these things and that I want to see her thrive in life, especially when the day comes that I just won't have the time to be around as much as she wants me to be there because of the job I am working towards. I will be on call 24/7, 365. That and my partner and I might want to someday have a family, which who knows if I'll be with children of our own or we just have pets. Regardless of all of this, I probably am going to take some space away from her while she calms down and works on herself because I know after how heated it got, it is probably the best that we take a little bit of time apart. I do want to add that she did not realize what she was doing. I don't entirely blame her since her mom enables her behavior at times, but I did let her know that I can't put up with it anymore. Thank you to everyone who gave good feedback. I greatly appreciate it, and I very much hope that things get better from here.
That is textbook narcissism on the friend's part.
Well, you have to look at it. So if you take it from the friend's source, you have the environments they grow up that daddy's little or mommy or daddy's little girl. It's very common that it's daddy's little girl, obviously, um, and that aspect can create a bit of unawareness of their behavior because when they're at home, when they go out with the family, they're the center of attention.
I guess, but life has its way of humbling you and like teaching you lessons regardless of what you were taught by your parents. I was fortunate enough to be taught to be a human being by my parents. Um, And it's just kind of like, I know a couple people that are only children, and they're not that bad. It's like, yeah, we can use the excuse of, well, mom's enabled this her entire life. You can still kind of figure it out with that.
But, it also doesn't say, and obviously it's not going to go into, here's a snapshot of the messages I sent her. Here's also not sure, did she do a lot of beating around the bush or was she more direct? And I think in this case, the more direct would have been the way to go. And maybe she was, but with her sitting there claiming, I don't understand, tells me she's not open-minded whatsoever.
Oh, no.
At all. And, it'd be a case of basically she has to see it on tape to see, oh, this is what I'm doing. I do believe when she says
video recordings.
Yeah, I do believe when the friend's saying, I didn't realize I was being like that. I didn't know, because with the way that she's always acted, even going out with her friends, it sounds like everybody kind of put up with her shit all the time. So the way that she was acting, she thought people liked, and it was just people being nice and putting up with her. So there is an aspect of that, but it's talking to a friend and telling a friend that they're annoying as shit is not an easy conversation. So, like I said, I had a friend years ago, even before I met your mom, that he was one that I pretty much one-on-one with him because most people didn't like him. He was kind of a loner type guy, computer guy, and big time computer dude. I really enjoyed hanging around with him, but he was, we're talking about the 80s and 90s. He was a hacker when it first became a word type thing.
Whoa.
And so he didn't really care that most people didn't like him, but it wasn't if we were hanging out, if I was hanging out with friends, he wasn't generally there, but I hung out with him and I was friends with him for years and years. But I loved the guy, but a lot of people didn't. They found him hard to take.
Are you friends with Neo?
Including your mom. So, friends with what?
Are you friends with Neo?
Not quite. He was a little bit.
Do we know where he is now?
I do.
He may have,
I stayed at his
unplugged.
house. I stayed at his house about 12, 13 years ago. That was shortly after he got a divorce. I stayed with him. Dang. I still like him. I loved being his friend. I loved hanging out with him. I enjoyed his company. Sometimes I didn't understand why everybody didn't like him. Sometimes I did. It's one of those things, but I was friends with him for years and years. So he moved out of the city after he got married. And so we started to kind of go separate ways at that point, but I stayed on top. He's not on any social media or stuff anymore. He's, like I said, he's in computers and stuff. So I think that might have something to do with why he's not on social media. But I do kind of understand that. And the one thing with him is that he was somewhat aware of his annoyances.
Oh, he was aware that he was kind of...
Yeah, he was pretty well aware of it. So we talked about it a few times, but he just had a hard time. He was socially awkward, but he's very outgoing, socially awkward. It was kind of a weird combo. But I love the guy, and I still do. I think his life is completely changed, and I think he's doing pretty well as far as what I can kind of keep up with here and there. Yeah, I don't regret being his friend, but I also, at the same sense, understand I had a friend where people found him annoying, and sometimes it was tough. So, anyways, any other comments on that? Or you think we're done?
I think a final verdict would be great. And I don't think the OP is an asshole at all with anything that they did.
Correct.
Now that first story is done, we're going to be hitting it up with another one. This time, I'm going to be reading it.
Story number 2.
Story number 2. Down in the saloon. That almost rhymes. So, yours was like friends and stuff. Mine has no real big correlation between the two of us. This is just two guys looking out from afar and judging someone. Ultimately, that's my favorite pastime. So, am I the a-hole for blocking my childhood best friend after she tried to make me pay for the catering at her son's first birthday? I will read that again for the people in the back. Am I the asshole for blocking my childhood best friend after she tried to make me pay for the catering at her son's first birthday. I want you to guess two things. I want you to guess if they're going to be the asshole. If you think they're going to be the asshole. And then I want to guess the catering, the amount.
I'm sure the catering is ridiculous because some people are just ridiculous with their parties. So let's start with, I don't think she's going to be the a-hole unless she told her that she'd cover it up front. So we'll see if that comes up. If she never said that, then absolutely not the a-hole. But the catering, we're going to go on first birthday?
The first birthday.
First birthday. So we're going to go with like $3,000.
$3,000.
$3,000.
Woo! Well, let's get right into it. So here's the thing. Me, 28 female, and Anna, 28 female, have been best friends since forever. Like, we grew up together, went through school, first breakups, everything. Naturally, when she had her baby, I was thrilled for her. I even helped plan the baby shower and got super involved in her life as a new mom. But recently, things have gotten weird. Uh-oh. Anna's son turned 1 last weekend, and she wanted to throw a huge party. I'm talking over the top, rented venue, professional catering, decorations, the whole shebang. I will put this note in. Whenever I said shebang, I did not think it was shebang. I thought it was shabang.
Well, she may have spelled it because I think it is shebang.
Yeah.
S-H-A.
So we can debate that out in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that it's shebang. But
I'm
you
pretty
know,
sure
LP,
shebang is a Ricky Martin song.
back to the story. Now, I thought we were just going to have a nice little family and friends thing, but no. Anna had a vision. But fine, no biggie. I figured she could do whatever made her happy for her son's big day. Fast forward to a week before the party, Anna starts hinting that she's, quote, a little stressed about costs and how, quote, tight things are right now. I get it. Having a baby is expensive, but she kept bringing it up in every conversation. I offered to help with decorations or pick up some snacks, but she waved it off, saying she had everything under control. The day of the party comes, and it's chaos. Balloons everywhere, a bouncy house, tons of people I didn't even know. I showed up early to help set up, and Anna's running around like a headless chicken. Then, as we're putting out the decorations, she casually says, "Oh, by the way, I put the catering on your card." A sentence that ends like that should not start with, "Oh, by the way." I hadn't even seen a catering bill, let alone agreed to pay for one. What do you mean you put it in my card? I asked, trying to stay calm. She looked at me like I was being dramatic and goes, "Yeah, you know I've been struggling. I figured you wouldn't mind covering it, and I'll pay you back later."
Oh, man.
Woo!
Okay.
First of all, I never once said she could use my card. And second, I had no clue how much this catering even cost. When I asked, she shrugged and said, "Here's the big number, everyone. Only about $500. It's not a big deal." $500.
That's all it was?
That's all it was for food that they didn't even agree to pay for, though.
The amount doesn't matter. What I'm saying in that is I'm really shocked with how crazy the rest of the party was. I'm surprised. $500 isn't.
She got to skimp out on food.
Yeah, that's not a lot. I mean, we fed the band for that with a taco cart coming out to the thing. It was that price. I think 30 kids was $600 for the taco cart. You know, you got like 3 tacos, that kind of thing, and $500. That's really. I'm actually listen. The discussion's not about the cost, but that's sidetracked. $500 isn't too bad. But anyways, finish it.
I told her no way. I wasn't paying for something she never asked permission for, and frankly, I didn't have that kind of money just lying around. She acted all shocked and hurt, saying I was being selfish and how it was her son's first birthday. As if I'm supposed to go into debt for a party I didn't even throw. We had a massive argument in front of some of her other friends, and I ended up leaving early. Later that night, she blew up my phone with texts saying I ruined her son's day and that I was being a terrible friend and how I didn't understand how hard things are for her right now. I just couldn't believe the audacity. After everything, I blocked her. I couldn't deal with the guilt tripping, especially over something so ridiculous. Now, some mutual friends have reached out saying I was too harsh and that I should have just helped her out because she's struggling. But I feel like she crossed the line. You don't throw someone's money into your plans without asking them, right? So, am I the a hole for blocking her, or did I overreact? There is an edit. There is an update at the end,
Okay.
like a little tiny baby one. My favorite comment is right at the top, and it says, "That's fraud." Also, if one is struggling, one does not spend $500 on food for a 1-year-old party.
Agreed. It's like
That's just
12,
the
13
food.
people.
That's just
Okay.
the food, though.
Well, no, I understand. No, first of all, let me ask you a question. Rack your brain. I'm way too old for this question. That's why I'm asking you.
I hit my head a lot. So I know.
I know. But rack your brain to the first birthday. What's the first birthday you remember celebrating a party?
It was like kindergarten age. I had this jungle party. Remember the house that was near my friend, like 5 houses down.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I I remember that. I was like 6. I was like 5 or 6.
Okay, that's earlier than I thought you'd remember.
But I don't remember like anything after it. I only remember it because that's where you guys became friends or like knew of my friend's parents to where we could hang out.
Right.
But I don't remember up until like a couple of years ago other parties.
Wasn't yours the murder party?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Okay.
That one was sophomore year.
By the way, I have 3 others besides him. So remembering all birthdays and remembering whatever. I remember that one because it was a lot of fun, and I have a great picture of my wife and I from that. It's a cute picture of us. One of my favorite pictures of us. And so I remember that because of that picture I took. And I remember it was related to the murder party because we were kind of hosting. So I remember that party, but most of the other ones I don't. But my point being, full circle now, my point being at 1-year-old, they're not going to have a clue. A 1-year-old's birthday party is strictly about the parents.
Yeah.
The parents are saying, look at us. We have a kid that's a year old. They're not going to remember it. So, and every parent does it. First kid, it's just the way that it's going to be. You're going to celebrate. Obviously, you're going to celebrate the birth. You're going to celebrate every birthday because you do want to make it a habit. You don't want to wait. Oh, they're 5 now. Let's start celebrating birthdays. I get it. But a 1-year-old, a good celebration for a 1-year-old is buying them a cupcake or a cake, putting them in their high chair and say, have at it, kid. And letting them play in the cake or play in the pie, play in something like that. Something that's going to be fun for them. They're not going to remember gifts. They're not going to remember anything about what the grandparents did. They're definitely not going to remember a bouncy house. Now, this mom, if the mom spent $500 on food, on top of buying the balloons, so she's probably spent, between the balloons and decorations, she spent another $1,000 at least.
Well, 500 of that she didn't spend.
Well,
her friend was forced into spending.
Correct. But what I'm saying is, we're debating on how much was total spent at the party, and really why was that amount of money spent? She talked about coming up to the party. I don't have a lot of money. You could have put up 2 balloons, invited friends over, had some streamers. You could have spent $20 on decorations, $25 on a cake, and maybe $5 on a small cake, and be done with it at that point, and still had the same amount of people over. Done a barbecue. You didn't even need to do food. You could just done chips and dips or something. I mean, if you're struggling, then make it that way. I don't understand. You should party to what your means are. If you don't have money, there's other creative ways to get around that. There's different things that you can do, and it's the thing. So now we get to the friend. Number one, where the hell did you get the card from?
That is what the edit goes over.
Okay.
That is what the edit. We will find out how she got this card.
I'm curious how she got the card.
Yeah.
And that will go into, well, either way, I agree with the person doing the commenting of it definitely is fraud, and you definitely could get her lawfully in trouble, and you're probably going to have to unless you want to pay that bill.
Exactly. There, you are cornered into either forcing her with legal action, which is not fun for any party involved, or you gotta take that hit, and that hit's gonna suck especially more because you didn't really want to do this. It sounded like they were just going through with this party because it was for their friend, which it's for their kid and them. It's not for the friend.
Correct. And the last aspect of this that sucks ass is if you're doing professional catering, you're obviously going through a business, which is most likely a small business.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you report it to your credit card company, report the fraud, now that business gets screwed out of that money too. So
Exactly.
that's where I would feel bad. And I would feel a little bit bad about that because I don't want to screw the small business.
Precisely.
I would want to try to do something to help them out, but you're also not thinking if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. OP never really says for sure if she could like eat the cost or eat it, whatever.
She did say that she does not have that money lying around.
Okay.
Which,
so,
I mean, that's a lot of
So
money
you
to
think-
have lying around with like how bills and stuff are this nowadays. Because this story is only 7 hours old
so
at the time of this recording.
in that case, you're talking about that's probably a power bill, water bill. That's probably some of the utility bills. Now your friend can't pay because your 1-year-old is more important. I mean, geez, it just the friend is being selfish on a few different levels that she's not thinking about, type thing. So all right, let's get to the edits.
All right, edit. To everyone asking why she has access to my card, it's still a question to me. Maybe she went through my things when I visited her to help babysit her son a day. On how she did it, I don't know. But I already filed a dispute with my bank about the charge. I will be checking my card to see if there are any other purchases she used my card for. And I really can't imagine that she could do this to me. So what it sounds like is her friend stole her card. Legitimately stole it for a second. Maybe took a picture of it, front and back. Put it back.
Wow.
Which that's unimaginable levels of just, I don't want to say momzilla because I hate that kind of phrase like bridezilla or momzilla because this ain't really for her kid.
No.
This is just the overarching story between the two stories. Someone that has never been punched in their face or told that they're a little annoying.
Oh my God, yeah. How did the friend get it? I mean, that's a good question. Now, the other thing that came up in that's a question to be asked is you got all these people, which I never understand, people coming out of the woodworks when bullshit like this happens. Of be nice, be kind, be whatever. Hey, okay, you want to pay for it?
Yeah.
You want to pay for it? And if another family member or somebody else spoke up and gave you the money, honestly, at that point, if one of the family members is running their mouths about, oh, forgive her, she's struggling. Okay, I need the $500. Can you give it to me?
I'm struggling too.
If someone would hand me the $500 to say, yes, I can handle it, here's the $500, I would put that on the credit card. I would then cancel that credit card, and I would never talk to that friend again. But I would at that point, I'd be done.
Yeah, there is no coming
I'd
back
be out.
from that.
But if nobody else is going to step up, number one, tell those people to shut up, because if they're not going to step up and pay for it, why should you? The other aspect with that is it's fraud. Now, there's no updates or anything on that, right? She does because it's so new.
Yeah, no, this is the edit. I will say when I first screenshot this, I don't think even the edit was there.
Okay. To me, at this point, the only true thing to do is you have to. Okay, so are you going to be nice or are you going to go scorched earth? The thing is, you can go. They just send a message and say you have 48 hours to get me the $500. If not, I'm going to the cops. Give her a chance to pay for it. Let her pay for it.
and then move on, be done with it. Just end the conversation, because really getting the cops involved, getting everything involved, it just becomes a bit of a headache. And but it's also a case of, what do you want to do with that friend? Do you really, I mean, at that point, if you cut them out of your life, do you really care if they go to jail? Do you really care if they do it? No, because most likely, if you report the fraud, they find it out, she gets in trouble. You're never going to see the money anyways. I mean, the
Nope.
reality is,
You're
not.
actually just spending more money.
If you're lucky with fraud, you're going to get like your credit card will reimburse your money to you, and it's a whole thing. But there's also a chance, to be reality, the way that the friend is, if the credit card company calls figures out that it was the friend that spent the money and calls the friend says, she gave me permission to do this. I had complete permission to do this. She told me how else would I've gotten her card, because she told me I could do this. Then it becomes a nightmare, because it becomes a he said, she said.
And most banks will, if it's a he said, she said, will leave it right there.
Yep. You're going to get stuck with it. My advice is to scare her and to just say, you have 48 hours to get me that money. Find a family member, find a friend. I don't care. I can't afford this. You have 48 hours to get me your money, or I'm going to the cops.
Yeah.
That should scare the friend enough that she starts calling everybody on the sun to get the money. And then she can blast you. She can do whatever you want at that point, because the reality of it, if it gets to be a fraud and gets to be whatever, if she's that way, she will lie her teeth off.
Oh yeah. No.
She will
Those
lie.
things will fall out
and
of
you
her
don't
mouth.
and you unless you've recorded anything, you don't have any way to prove that she knowingly stole from you, because when she told you, you were caught off guard. It's not like you record all your conversations. But my advice is to try to spook her into paying you back and just moving on. Sadly,
that's all you can do.
That's
really.
going to be the best outcome. Anything else is going to be a nightmare.
I even think the scare tactic, as much as that would work most of the time, the friend might just start blowing up her phone and like trying to get her to take the threat back. Like I have a kid now, I'm struggling, I gotta, and it's like, I can only imagine that it's hard to be a parent, especially nowadays, with how everything is and like how much everything costs, getting everywhere. It's just, that's not on your friends willingly. If your friends are willing to help, like she was willing to help buy some like balloons, decorations, stuff like that, stuff that she could have probably found for like $20.
Yeah.
Because again, it's the sentiment with that.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
The fact that you slapped her with $500 with catering, it's probably like some pretty mid food.
I would have to say that, unless it's a smaller type thing, but
It's just,
my company spends that much every week on lunch feeding the office, and we get great food. I can't, they spend more than that actually. Anyways, the amount is irrelevant really, and the aspect of whether the friend could afford it or not. Even if the friend's rich,
I was about to say,
anytime you throw a party of any kind, you have to set a budget. Mom loves her parties, but mom and I sit down on almost all of them and say, and discuss a budget, because you can easily lose sight of it. Figure out how much you're going to spend on alcohol, how much you're going to spend on the food, how much you're going to spend on desserts. She cooks a lot, so the food stretches a lot more. And so, but we discuss that with the parties, and you have to set a budget. If you're just going to go hog wild, you got more problems going to hit you, slap you in the face down the road.
Yeah.
And a 1-year-old party, you shouldn't be spending more than $100 on it, regardless. I mean, unless if you're filthy rich, you want to do it, fine.
Do your thing. But you would not be stuck in this problem.
No, and that's, to me. So to me, all right. So let's go to the decision. What's the decision about the friend?
OP or the friend? Because very obvious on both sides. OP, you are not an asshole at all. I and my dad, both of us, would be much worse. The scene would have been instant. Like if I heard someone go, "Oh yeah, I used your card," it would have been, "What?"
I would have been checking on my card, because modern things you can check on right away and be checking on. And as soon as I saw it, I'd just verified once it's there. Then I would be like, "What the hell?" And I probably would have gone after it right then and there in front of everybody of, "How dare you charge my card?" Now, I would hope in that heat of the moment, I would start recording on my video on my phone so I could try to catch her admit that she
stole
she
it.
stole it. Because if you get that, then you got a good chance with fraud. But again, this is a
Messy.
scoundrel of a friend, and so she is definitely going to lie her teeth off if you try to take her to court, you try to take her to the cops, and so you're most likely not going to see your money back unless you can scare her into getting it.
But it's also like this was her best friend growing up. That should be on the devil. That should be like the "Am I the devil" type shit. Just throw that there because, whew.
But that should be the question: is she the devil? Because the OP is definitely not. I don't know why the OP even needs to ask the question.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
they're looking for validation for sure. But like, no, that friend, you are possibly the devil.
Yeah, friend the devil, OP, not the a-hole.
Whew. Alrighty. Well, from Momzillas all the way to a really selfish friend on both ends of those stories. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening with us. Those were sure some words.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Like and subscribe if you want to do that for us. We greatly appreciate it. And as you know, the world is full of assholes. But today, these two OPs were not. But boy, their friends were. But sometime soon, I'm sure we'll find some assholes. But it wasn't today. Thanks for drinking with us.
Yippee.
Tip your bartender.
Please.